Today we are focusing on this subject. It's called the home inspection. The home inspection. We're going to Luke chapter 6 this morning. Luke chapter 6, going to look at a couple of verses there as we begin fixer-upper home inspection. The word inspection means this. It means to careful and critically view something. What does fixer-upper mean? It means stepping into carefully and critically understanding what needs to be fixed up. Are you with me? Not cosmetically, not a Band-Aid fix, not 100-mile-an-hour tape, duct tape, not just paint. But let's really get to the problems and let's really ask God to fix what's going on. You see, in the show, The Fixer-Upper, the first thing that they must do is when they find a house that is broken down, they must go into that home and begin to inspect it. And every inspector knows that when they go into that home, what is the first place that you start when you're checking out a fixer-upper? Anyone? The foundation. Thank you. And that's exactly where we're heading this morning. So what happens is the inspector comes in, and where's the first place that he goes if they have it? A basement, okay? And what are you looking for? Well, you're looking to make sure that there is a foundation to do anything upon. Is it a surface in which we've got to completely tear down and start completely over? Or is there some hope in there? Is there something in there worth repairing to build on? Now, you and I both know that there are a lot of people that would love to just, go to the hardware store and buy a 5-gallon bucket of kilts. You know what that is? All right. And you take that home and you paste it on your wall and you say, "She's locked tight now, buddy." But did you really fix the problem? You didn't, right? You just covered it up. And here's what happens, and you and I both know that it's true. We cover some things up in our marriages. We cover some things up in our homes. We cover some things up in our families. And that's exactly what we do. We just cover them up. And the problem is the problems were never fixed. The breaches were never closed. The gaps were never finished. And before too long, guess what happens? The winds come, the rains blow, and we didn't fix the real problem. We just covered it up and made it look good on the outside. And what really begins to happen is it begins to destroy the foundation. It destroys the rest of the home. You can have a great home, but if the foundation is broken, when the storm comes, it will fall. So what is the process? The process is this. First of all, you've got to go in and you've got to inspect the home. And that is the first place that we start. We start with the foundation. Look at verse 46 with me. It says this, "And why call ye me, Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say?" You catch that? That's in red writing. If you have a red written Bible, that means Jesus' words. And here's what he's saying. He's saying, "Why are you calling me Lord when you are not listening to anything that I say?" Ooh, that's good preaching right there. And that's exactly what he's saying to the people there. "Why call me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say?" Now watch this, verse 47. "Whosoever cometh to me," underline this. This is so important. "Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings." But he doesn't stop there, does he? Not only do we hear them, but look at what it says. "And doeth them." Look at this promise. "I will show you to whom he is like." Isn't that good? What is it saying? It's saying this. If you hear me, if you hear God, You hear the word, and you what? You do it. It does no good if you hear it and you don't do anything about it. All you've done is put a piece of duct tape over it. You've got to hear it, you've got to do it, and here it comes with a promise. I will. Does it say might? Does it say maybe? Does it say as long as you do this or that? It says, I will. As long as you hear and do, I will show you to whom He is like. What are you saying, Pastor? Watch this. First of all, you have to understand that we've got to inspect the foundation. Let me ask you a question. What is the foundation of your home? I'm not talking about your physical home. I'm talking about your home, your family. What is your foundation? What have you built your family upon? Has it been the promise of society? Has it been the promise of government? Has it been the promise of your mom or dad? What is the foundation of your home? Before we can fix anything, we've got to inspect the foundation. And what are we looking for? We're making sure that the foundation is set properly. Well, how do I know if the foundation is set properly? I'm glad you asked. Here it is, verse 48. He is like a man which built an house and digged deep and laid the foundation on a rock. Do you see that? He went the extra mile. He dug deep until he hit rock, and he built the foundation on rock. And when the flood rose and the stream did vehemently upon the house, and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock. And then verse 49, but he that heareth and doeth not is like a man that without the foundation built an house upon the earth, against which the stream did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell, and ruin of that house was great. Before we can build, before we can rebuild, before we can fix up, we first have to inspect the foundation. What kind of foundation are we talking about? We're talking about a foundation that chooses the hard way and not the easy way. The foundation of digging deep and making sure that we get down to the solid rock in our relationship as husband and wife. And we build upon what? We build upon the foundation of Jesus Christ in our life. You say, what does that foundation look like? It looks like a covenant and not a commitment. You say, what's the difference? A commitment is made horizontally. Me making a commitment to Zach, me making a commitment to my wife. It's horizontal. The problem with a horizontal commitment is it's only as good as the person. Anybody here perfect? Oh, I thought for sure at least one. I thought for sure there would be at least one that would do. None of us are perfect, are we? So guess what? When we make a commitment one to each other, the commitment is flawed already. Why? Because we are flawed. None of us are perfect. So what do we do then? Here's what we do. Are you ready? It's not a commitment, it's a covenant. What's a covenant? A covenant is made between three people. Explain that to me. It's a covenant made between me, my wife, and God in the center of everything. It's kind of like a triangle. God is at the top. Jesus is at the top. Christ is at the top of the triangle. And out each post of the triangle, you've got me and my wife, you and your spouse. And here's the key about it. The closer that we get to Christ individually, the closer that we get to one another. You want oneness? You want to be close? You've got to get close to God. You've got to get close to Christ. You have got to put Christ first in your life before He can be first in your marriage and your home. That's good preaching right there. Christ needs to be first. Why? Because here's what happens. We all have been there. We've all done it. You go sideways in your thinking. You ever had a tiff with your spouse? What's a tiff? An argument! Right? I seen you. We all have them, don't we? And sometimes, especially us men, we can go a little sideways in our thinking. Like, what is wrong with her? This is not the woman that I started out with. Am I right, men? And we go sideways in our thinking. The question is what brings you back to center? Because at this point, you're sideways in your thinking. What brings you back to center? Here's what brings you back to center. Are you ready? You better have Jesus in your life to bring you back to center. To what? To get you out of the ditch, fellas. To get your stinking thinking, to get it right. I'm not saying that you ladies haven't been there too, time or two. We'll get to you in a minute. Not only do we expect the foundation to make sure the foundation is sure, but secondly, we inspect the framing. The framing is the studded walls that sit on top of the foundation. The framing is that which we have our walls in our homes. The framing is a lot of pieces connected together to build and construct these walls. And even the roof trusses are made out of wood and are part of the framing package. We've got to inspect the framing. And here's what happens. So many times we just get out paint, take the paint and cover up that wall. We have no idea what's back there. If we're going to fix it up and we're going to fix it up right, there might be some places where we got to rip the drywall off the studs and take a look at the framing. Why would you do that? That's more work. That's what I'm saying. We take a look at the framing. Why? Because when we learn and we think of the framing, it's this. It's not your life. What is it then? It's our life. When you come together in a covenant relationship with that special person in your life, yes, you must have a foundation in Jesus Christ, but you better make sure that the framing is all together where it needs to be. Here's the thing. There's no success apart from her. Ladies, there's no success apart from him. What do you mean? It's not your life. It's our life. It's connected together. It's us. What does that mean? It's not my dreams. It's our dreams. So you want to climb a great big mountain. If she's not into it, what's the use? You can do it on your own time, but don't let that be your dreams. It needs to be our dreams. We're both invested. We're both involved in this. It's our dreams. It's our aspirations. Because here's my desire. I'm hoping that out of this, those of you that have a good marriage, that your good marriage can be turned into a great marriage. How many of you want that great marriage? How many of you want that relationship where just everything clicks? I don't know about you, but I want to have, and I think I've got it, but I want to have that marriage that everybody else looks at and says, I want one of those. I want all of us to have a marriage that we can dream of a day when we can hold hands on our front porch in heaven and look back on our life and say, wow, can you believe the journey that God has allowed us to be on together? I want that. Do you want that? we've got to inspect the framing. Why? Because here's the thing. Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 4. It says, there is no success without marriage success. Now mark this down real quick. Build your business. Lose your marriage. One word for you. Loser. Have a big bank account. Lose your marriage. Lose your relationship with your kids. Loser. Why? There's no success in life that exceeds or is greater than being able to hold hands with your sweetheart after 50 years and say, I still do. We've got to make sure the framing is good. Thirdly, we've got to make sure the roof is good. Got to inspect the roof, make sure that it doesn't need replaced. And if it needs replaced, let's get it replaced. Well, what's the roof? Here's the roof. Are you ready? It's protection from storms. That's what the primary job of the roof is, to keep weather out of the house. Keep weather out of the framing. Keep weather from getting down, destroying the wall, and eventually destroying the foundation. There's got to be a roof. What's the roof? It's protection. Well, what's protection, Pastor? Here it is. Are you ready? Mark that. You better be taking notes, people. Inside your bulletin, little notes section. Get it down. Here we go. Are you ready? Never use the D word. Don't do it. Say, what's the D word? Divorce. Get rid of it. Erase that word from your covenant. Why? Because every time you use that word, all you have done is removed the protection from your spouse. Men, let me speak to you very candid if you'll allow me. You are the protector and the provider of your home. Why is it when you get in a little riff and a tiff that the first thing is a threat of divorce? It has no place in a covenant. Get rid of the D word. You say, is that possible? Yes, it is. I'm living it out. We don't use that word. I don't ever want her, nor do I want to feel unprotected in our marriage. And that's what the roof does. It protects you. Don't use the D word. Watch this. It's your life, remember? Back to the studs, back to the walls, back to the framing. It's not your life, it's our life. So here's what it's saying. When you use that word in your marriage covenant, here's what it's like. It's like taking the shingles off your own roof. Is that what you want? You're gonna work hard, climb up the ladder, get on your roof and start ripping up shingles? It'd be a great idea. Are you kidding me? It doesn't even make sense, does it? So why do we use that as leverage in our fighting in our homes? It's like tearing the shingles off of our roof. After we inspect the roof, we got to inspect the electrical. Electric is interesting. It travels through little wires, through cavities in your walls, and travels to lights from a panel into the lights. And all of us, I don't know how it all works, but it does. You flip a switch and the lights come on, right? At least you hope. But the electrical has to be inspected. Why? You never know if a rodent's been in there and eaten the wiring. You with me? You never know if something has crept in. Or how about this? How about it's just been a long time and it just needs rewired? Somebody's got to get in there and what? It's got to take out the old and put something new in. What are you talking about? Here's what I'm talking about. The electrical is the biblical view of love. We've got to get to the place where we are loving in our homes, in our relationships, with a biblical view, not a worldly view. You say, well, what's the difference? Here we go. Are you ready? Love biblically means you before me. That's what it means. It means constantly, consistently putting the other person and their needs before your own. Some of you say, I didn't sign up for that. Yeah, you did. When you stood before heaven and that special person in your life, ladies, that special man, men, that special lady, and you covenanted your life together. You covenanted from that day forward to put their needs before your own. Why? Because it's like the electric gets replaced and fixed when we begin to learn how to do that. You see, here's the thing. Love is not sex. Love is not romance. Although we love romance and we love the other, that's not what love is. What is love, Pastor? Watch this. Love is not even laughter, although we laugh a lot. Love is not chemistry, although I love chemistry. Love is more than a feeling. Then what is love? Love is a will. It's a choice. You say, really? Here's what it does. It starts out with feeling. And that's what a lot of people build their marriage relationships on. They build it on that feeling. And then you get songs like this. You've lost that love and feeling. Right? Oh, that love and feeling. And everybody went to Top Gun. Right there. Those of us that grew up in the 80s. Maverick and Goose, there we went. But that's what happens. So many couples are building their marriage covenant on feeling. And they think the feeling is the love. It doesn't work that way. In fact, let me show you that in the Scriptures. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Beginning in verse 4, it says, charity in King James. If you have something else, it might say love. Love suffereth long. Do you see that? What else? And is kind. It envieth not. It wanteth not itself. It's not puffed up. It's not unseemingly. You see all that? It rejoiceth not in iniquity. It beareth all things. It believeth. Now, how many of you believe that it's a feeling now? It beareth all things. Yeah, you really wanted to do that, didn't you? What else? It hopeth all things. It endureth all things. No, love is not a feeling. It's a choice of the will. We choose to love every single day. And when we choose to love, watch this. It's like the electric begins to work. The fifth thing that we've got to inspect is the plumbing. We've got to make sure the plumbing is working. We've got to make sure that no pipes have busted from freezing. We've got to make sure that everything is connected right. We've got to make sure that the hot water tank doesn't have a bunch of rust in it. We've got to make sure that the pipes are not too rusty. Why? Here's why. Are you ready? This is me. You got to inspect what is coming out of your pipes. Because nobody wants something dirty coming out of their pipes. What do you mean? I'm talking about clear communication. Let me speak to you if I can. Ladies, for just a second. I'll get to you guys here in just a second. Ladies, understand this. Your husband is not your girlfriend's. He's not going to talk to you the way your girlfriends talk to you. He's not going to get all mushy. He's not going to melt in your... He just doesn't work that way. He's not built that way. But I want him to connect with... We're going to get there. But you can't talk to him like you're talking to your girlfriends and expect the same result. Because it just doesn't work that way. Fellas, told you I would get to you. Ladies, let me share something with you. When you get with your girlfriends, we know how much you can talk. You can talk for hours. I'm very thankful that my wife has some friends like that. When she goes anywhere with them, I go ahead and go to bed. Fellas, it might be a good idea for you to learn just to go to bed. Because here's the thing, ladies, that you don't know. When we guys go and do something, we can go fish for 6 hours on a lake, on a boat, in the middle of water. Neither one of us can get away within confined space of about 10 to 15 feet, and we will not say anything all day, and it'll be just fine with us. And here's what happens. We come home from fishing, and you look at us and say, well, what'd you talk about? It is a real thing for us to look at you and say, nothing. Right? Men, we don't talk. We grunt. In fact, that's why we choose things to do like hunting with our friends. Why? Because you don't say a word. You go your opposite directions and you sit in a tree stand all day. You can't expect us to communicate the same way, but communication and clean communication is so important. We've got to, husbands and wives, find middle ground. Well, how do we do that? 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 7, Man Up group, you should know this one well. It says we live with our wives according to knowledge. That's what it says. Your husband was supposed to, if he signed up for the Man Up group, he should have that verse memorized. No amens, I didn't think so. We men don't talk. But it says, live with your wives according to knowledge. And what does that mean? That means you must know each other. Let me share something with you. Men, she wants to know you. She really does. You might not like what's all up in here, but for some reason she does. And she loves that mess that's up in here. And she wants to know you. And nothing will set your wife on fire more than you wanting to know her back. She wants to know you, and she wants you to know her. But I don't like to talk. Find some common ground. Let me help you here if I can. I know it's uncomfortable, but I'm trying to save your marriage here. Share with her your dreams. Speak to her about what your hopes are. Tell her what your struggles are. But ladies, you've got to do this if he's going to do that. He's got to know that what he shares with you will be confidential. It's not going to go to your girlfriend talk. What else does he have to know? He has to know that it will be reciprocated. If he's going to put himself out there, ladies, go out there with him. Tell him something that you're fearful of, that you're hopeful for. Finally, ladies, do us both a favor. Whatever he says, accept it. You reject it, you may not get the chance again. Plumbing, it has to be inspected. But sixthly, the HVAC. That's the heating and the cooling, the hot and the cold. What are you saying? We've got to learn to have healthy conflict. I know there's some of you out there think, oh, we never fight. You liar, liar, pants on fire. You're going to fight on the way home from church today. Pastor's going to start it. You got to learn to fight fair. I don't even know how to fight, especially her. She whoops me every time. Ephesians chapter 4, it helps us learn how to fight fair. Let me give you a few things that might help you. 5 things. Are you ready? Write them down in learning to fight fair. To keep things hot, to keep things cold. Fight fair number 1. Resolve the issue today. Don't go to bed. I'm guilty. I've done it. Haven't we, babe? It's not fun. Because guess what? When you roll over and you didn't fix that thing, it's a cold night. The heat is not working in the house. Mom and Dad, when it gets cold in your bedroom, it gets cold in the whole house, kids. That way. Hey, they were right on that. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Watch this. You got to resolve it today. And I know, I get it. You say, well, the longer this day goes, the madder I get. Midnight, 15 minutes after, you're like, I've got to go to work in the morning. Enough. Hey, learn how to push pause and say, I care deeply about you, but we've got to fix the problem. Let's sleep on it. Let's return to this tomorrow. Are you with me? We got to get it resolved. Fight fair number 1 today. Secondly, attack the problem and not the person. I'm getting some smiles from some people now. Attack the problem and not the person. And you know what happens? We get all heated up and we're going after the problem, and then all of a sudden the word you comes out, and guess what? You're done. Penalty flag, get out the yellow, throw it. Violation of the rules of fighting fair, you lose. Right? You done lost, guy. Sorry. You went there. Yes, pull the flag on one another. You already lost. Forget it. Watch this. You got to fight clean. You got to fight fair. It's today. Attack the problem and not the person. Get rid of the manipulation. Manipulation is 2 ways. First of all, you men. Men were born to be stronger and to be louder. And hey, fellas, get this. When you are fighting with that beautiful person that God has given you, she's the only one that can put up with you, by the way. Don't take it upon yourself to get loud and get up in her stuff, because it's unfair. You are to protect her, which means you step back. I have a hard time with this one. You lower your voice. You speak to her with respect. You don't fight unfair. You don't pop your pecs. And you better not ever touch her. Ladies, emotionally, you manipulate. You're welcome. Well, how do I do that? How do I do that? Is that better? First thing you want to go and do is cry. There's no crying in fighting fair. But I hope you really know what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about the tears. I'm talking about you bringing in all the emotions that I know God designed you with. But let me tell you something. Some of the emotions that you bring into fights is not fair at all. And it makes us wish that you would just clench a fist and just hit us and get it over with. I'm trying to help you here. Learn to fight fair. And here we go. Not only manipulation on both sides, but watch this. Don't ever use these two words. Always and never. You always do that. Oh, really? Always? Always. Every time. I'm late every time. There's never been one time that I was on time. Not even to our wedding did I make it there on time. You with me? That's not fair. How about this one? You never. Right? You never do this. You never do that. It's not fair. Never. I never said yes. Pretty sure on our wedding day, I said yes. It's an unfair fight. Penalty flag. Fifth, are you ready? Don't bring up the past. It's not fair. If we are doing this thing God's way, it says that we are to ask for forgiveness, right? And we are to forgive one another. So why is it that we keep unburying the hatchet? You got to leave the past in the past. And today is today. Let's learn how to fight fair, because it helps the hot and cold in our homes. 2 more and I'll be done, I promise. Seventhly, after we get done inspecting the foundation, we inspect the framing, the roof, the electric, the plumbing, the HVAC system. Then we go outside and we inspect the exterior. And what are we looking at when we look at the exterior? We're looking at deterioration. The weather and everything along with it, it begins to deteriorate or break down the outside of a home. For those of you that are homeowners, if you haven't learned it already, you will very soon. Homeowning is a constant project on the outside. There's always something to do to the outside of your home. So what does that mean? That means you have to keep pouring in to your house. If you want the outside to remain nice, you've got to keep going back to it and keep going back to it and keep pouring into it. This is exactly what we've got to do in our marriages. We've got to keep pouring into them. There can't be any give up in us. There can't be any quit. We've got to pull our boots up and we've got to say, we're going to do this. You've got to keep pouring into your marriage. And finally, once you look at the outside, then you can go back inside. Begin to look at the interior and what you want to do there. And watch this. Here's what we do. We see what it can be, not for what it is. And we go for it. We focus on strengths, not failures. Hey guys, when you were dating that gal, man, she had no flaws. There was no imperfections. You loved every part of her. You remember? Where's it gone? Here's where it's gone. When you spend too much time focusing on the failures and forgetting about the good times, forgetting about the strengths, before too long, it's hard to see anything good at all. What are you saying, Pastor? If you go back to the things you did, you will get back to where you were. Go back there. Start again. What am I saying? Fix it up. You know what's broken. You know what needs attention. You might have to go all the way back to the foundation. And there are some of you sitting here this morning where that's where the problem began. Began with the foundation. At one time, you served the Lord. At one time, you lived for the Lord. At one time, you led your home for the Lord. But something happened to the foundation. The foundation got cracked. The relationship with Jesus Christ, it got broken. And when that happens, the house begins to shift. Cracks begin to take place. The roof begins to settle. And before too long, the house begins to fall. Some of us need to go back to the foundation. Today is inspection day. Today is trying to put a finger, seeing what needs to be done. Watch this. Back to our scripture. Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you to whom he is like. I don't know what's wrong with our marriage. I can't figure it out. Scripture tells us right here. Go to him, hear what he's saying, and do something about it. And he'll never fail to show you exactly what needs to be done. Let's pray together this morning. All heads